While growing up, I was always told by my parents to prioritize and be knowledgeable about my sleep, for we spend approximately 1/3 of our lives asleep. To become more knowledgeable, I had to understand the mechanisms of sleep, therefore its stages. This being said, there is also a lot of confusion around the topic, and according to my audience survey that I created, about 60% of the participants were unaware of what the stages of sleep were. In actuality, there are 4 stages of sleep, and these stages are categorized as non-REM stages and REM stages. And as Shelby Harris once wrote, quote, so the deeper stages of sleep are really those times of quiescence. You're really restoring your body and have a few different stages of sleep, end quote. The first stage that people fall into is what's known as the non-rapid eye movement, stage 1, or it's more commonly referred to as light sleep. And according to a newspaper article on bbc.co.uk titled The Science of Sleep, quotation, during the first stage of sleep, we're half awake and half asleep. Our muscle activity slows down and slight twitching may occur, end quote. Since this stage begins the process of the sleep cycle, you are most susceptible to being awake, especially compared to the other stages of sleep. And the stage that follows is called non-REM stage 2, which is also known as true sleep. This stage generally lasts around 20 minutes while the heart rate and the breathing slow down, which creates a cooler body temperature in the process. And in Dr. David Carley's academic journal, which is titled The Physiology of Sleep, he references how, quote, typically skeletal muscle activity exhibits progressively decreasing amplitude with transformations from wakefulness to N2, which is categorized as non-REM stage 2. And because we've delved deeper into sleep after the first stage, it would only make sense for our bodies, more specifically our muscles, to follow the patterns of our breathing and our heart rates. And this demonstrates a cause and effect relationship, seeing as how when the heart rate slows down, it starts to decrease the amount of blood flow throughout the body, which then decreases the intensity of our muscles. With our muscles becoming less frequently used as we start to fall deeper into sleep, it only makes sense that this is due to the decline in breathing and heart rate. And the preceding stage that is referred to as non-REM stage 3, which is primarily known as deep sleep. During this time of the cycle, a variety of things happen which range from being unaware of the outside stimuli and to the secretion of chemicals that further the process of sleep. The way the body starts to transition into this stage is through the entrance of delta waves. Now, some people may ask, what are delta waves? Delta waves are high-amplitude brain waves with a frequency of oscillation between 0.5 and 4 hertz. According to an article found in the newspaper The Fountain, which is written by Omer Yildiz, which is titled The Stages of Sleep, quote, the presence of delta waves hints at the disengaged traffic between the cortex and the lower nervous system components, which are the thalamus, the hypothalamus, the brainstem, and the hippocampus. This condition also shows the person that is in deep rest, free from pain and other bodily stimuli. And with these waves present, the brain and the body will begin to reach optimal relaxation, and it will not be able to be disturbed during this process. And while delta waves are radiating throughout the body, they also start to secrete a hormone called melatonin, which according to the article Stages of Sleep, quote, it protects against cancer and slows down the aging process, while lowering bad cholesterol and balancing body heat and blood pressure. And this stage not only promotes the benefits of sleep itself, but also represents the potential for bettering one's health by reaching this stage in order to produce melatonin and delta waves. And finally, the most popular stage in this cycle is called rapid eye movement, which is also referred to as REM sleep. This stage of rest is widely considered to be the most important stage in the sleep cycle. It's the most referenced portion of sleep because this is when dreaming occurs. And in the book, Why We Sleep, which is written by Professor of Neuroscience and Psychology Matthew Walker, PhD, corroborates the idea of dreaming in the REM stage as, quote, reigning supreme in the second half of the night. And seeing as how we spend most of our time in REM sleep than all of the other three stages combined, this shows the importance of REM sleep along with the overall decrease in stress and anxiety that we face throughout each day. And later in the novel, Walker explains how, quote, a key function of deep non-REM sleep, which predominates earlier in the night, is to do the work of weeding out and removing unnecessary neural connections. In contrast, the dreaming stage of REM sleep, which prevails later in the night, plays a role in strengthening those connections. And while releasing your conscious mind from its worries of the previous day, the REM stage allows you to focus internally and become better at using the cognition for tomorrow's ventures, such as reading, problem solving, or just having the energy to be positive throughout the day. And as Matthew Walker says in his book, the shorter you sleep, the shorter your life is. In conclusion, the cycles of sleep are a very complex yet very crucial portion of people's lives and should be regarded as such. For if we understand what happens when we sleep, we can prioritize it and become the best versions of ourselves. Thank you.